What's going on, guys? It's Greg here. Just another quick video. I'm going to talk about operational security, OPSEC. A lot of you guys in the military are definitely going to know what that means. Basically, I want to talk about how OPSEC is important for WROL, prepping, and SHTF. Even now during rule of law. You always want to maintain good OPSEC. You don't want to let people know details about like your weapons, what kind of weapons you have, how many weapons you have, your food supply, your vehicles, any of your gear that you have, your security systems, things like that. You don't want to broadcast to everybody and you don't want to tell them everything about your prepping. I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make today that I see all the time. And I guess it's kind of unavoidable. I mean, I kind of violated that a little bit now that I started this YouTube channel. But I think one thing I noticed with a lot of preppers is that they broadcast to the world everything that they do, how much food they have, how much gasoline they're storing, what their bug out plans are, where their bug out location is, stuff like that. They tell people their tactics, they talk about what kind of tactics they're going to use. If you're a prepper, you should think very hard about doing that, especially now, because you may not know, but there may be somebody that there may be somebody that is watching your YouTube channel, and they're going to remember you. And when things go south, when shit hits the fan, guess who's going to show up at your door, knocking on your door, and they may come with a group of friends or something, and they may know that, let's say you have a friend of yours, and the thing you have to understand is that word spreads. Even if you only tell one person, let's say I tell somebody, that I'm a prepper. Let's say I have a friend of mine, and I tell my friend, I'm a prepper. I put food back, I put ammo back. I have 10,000 rounds of ammo, whatever. I have 30 rifles. I have 20 pistols. I have a bug out cabin in the Sierra Nevadas or something, just using that as an example. If I tell somebody that, they're going to remember that, because the thing is that preppers are a minority. They're a minority of people. So when you tell somebody these things, that you're storing ammo, you're storing food, you have a bug out cabin, and you really tell people that, most people are going to remember that. Most people will remember somebody who owns a gun. Just think of just think about it. Most people don't own weapons. Most like Americans, obviously there's a lot, they say that there's like 100 million guns out there or whatever. But like, I would say, I don't think that like a majority of Americans own firearms. I would say, especially like the typical suburban or urban people, I would say people like in those areas, I would say about 30 to 40% of people own firearms in like suburban areas. In most population clusters around the United States, I would say that in the heavily populated areas, I would say it's a minority, less than 50% of people have weapons, firearms. So if you tell someone, oh yeah, I got a pistol permit, I'm getting myself a Glock, and you tell that to a friend of yours, and they're not gun owners, they're gonna remember that. I know at least like my friends, all my friends, that I tell them what, like that I own a gun, or that I showed them some of my weapons, they all remember that. They remember it. That people don't forget things like that, because it's a significant thing. So my advice to you guys is don't tell people now. Don't tell people now about what you're doing. Don't tell people that you're a prepper. Don't tell people that you're storing ammo. Don't even tell anybody that you're a gun owner. keep everything secret. I don't go around and telling people that I own guns. I don't tell people that I'm a prepper. Nobody knows. I would say most of my friends don't know that I'm a prepper. Just people that are really close to me, like best friends and my girlfriend, and that's basically it. Nobody else knows. And obviously with the girlfriend, it's unavoidable because she goes into my room and she sees that I have stuff, backpacks and gear and stuff like that, firearms, so that's kind of unavoidable. But you really want to be cautious with who you're telling information to, and even if you tell one person something, you may think that, oh, it's just one person, what is that going to do? It's not a big deal. I told my best friend, it's not a big deal, but you don't know who he's going to tell. Sometimes, like, you tell somebody something and then they're going to tell someone else, and then if they tell the wrong person, that person's going to tell 3 more people, and then as time goes on, more and more people are going to find out, oh, this guy Greg, he's a prepper, he's got ammo, he's got food, and people talk about it and they remember, and you don't know if something were to go down in this country, something serious, you don't know if they're going to come to your house. You don't know if they're going to try to get supplies from you. Well, when people are desperate, they're going to do desperate things. People that are unprepared, they're not going to have food. They're going to go, they're going to do whatever they have to do to eat, and if they know that, like, I have food or something, they're going to come to my house, so just keep that in mind. I don't think it's smart to just be broadcasting to everybody that you're a gun owner, that you're a prepper, that you're a survivalist. Even if you're, same thing if, like, you're a martial artist, you generally, it's better not to tell people stuff like that, because then people are going to remember that and they're going to say, oh, Greg studies martial arts, he knows how to fight, he knows how to take care, he knows how to handle himself. People remember those things, and so you kind of want to be almost like a gray man, in a sense. Like, you want to apply the gray man principle to this situation. If you're talking amongst family or distant family, you're at like a family gathering, let's say this Christmas, you have some distant relatives that you don't really see that often, or you have some friends or something that you get together with, you may want to think hard about who you're telling people and what you're telling, and you may not want to tell people anything. Just don't tell people that you're a prepper. There's no reason that anybody needs to know. There's no reason for you to be bragging about how many weapons you have or telling people these things. Don't don't say it. There's no reason to. I mean, you're just going to potentially compromise your security down the road. If something were to happen, somebody could come to your house, that somebody, you don't know, I have some knowledge of the intelligence community. I'm not going to say how, but I have some knowledge of the intelligence community, and one of the things in the intelligence community is that they're very strict on people telling stuff about your job and stuff like that. They don't want people telling you, like, if you work for the intelligence in the intelligence community, you don't want to tell people like what you're doing. They're very strict on that, and there's a reason for that, because you may think that you're saying something insignificant, and you're telling, even if you tell your best friend, like, let's say you tell your best friend that, let's say you work in the intelligence community, and you tell your best friend, oh, I work for the NSA, or whatever agency it is, you don't know if who he's going to tell. And then if he tells somebody else and they say, oh, look, my best friend, he's a spy, he does this, he does that. And then somebody's going to find out about that. And then, you don't know. They may try to compromise him to get to you. You know what I mean? Same thing so you can apply that to prepping. If you're a prepper, let's say you tell your best friend, like, all your stuff that you have, or some distant relative or whatever, he may tell somebody else. And then once the word goes out, then they can go and try to compromise him. They could, let's say one night they could go to your friend's house and hold him at gunpoint and say, we want you to tell us where, where your friend's bug out cabin is, and where his supplies are, and he's going to obviously say, because he doesn't want to get killed or he doesn't want to get beat up, whatever it is, so you have to keep that in mind. There's no reason for you to be going out there telling people what you're doing. It's tempting sometimes, when you buy like a new rifle or you buy a new pistol, you want to show it off to everybody. Same thing like with prepping, you want to show off like what you're doing and stuff like that. You want to convert, you want to have conversations with people, you want to talk about it. Obviously that's natural, that's something that you want to do, but you really want to try to resist the temptation to do that, because I think that in down the road, if God forbid there really is a real SHTF situation, a real WROL, somebody's going to remember, that you have supplies, and they're going to come and get you, and they're going to try to take your stuff, So think about that, think about, just don't open your mouth unless you have to. And if somebody asks you, like, let's say somebody does know that you're a prepper somehow, or they know how many weapons you have, try to lie. Don't tell them, don't tell them exactly how many guns you have, or exactly what you're doing, or where your cabin is located. Try to fool them, make something up. There's no law that says you have to tell the truth to these people, especially if it comes to protecting your supplies and protecting your family. You have to, if you have to lie and you have to make up a story, then make up a story, because you have to protect your operational security. That's critical. So, I just wanted to do a quick video about that, because I think that's something that's very concerning to me, because I see it a lot in the prepper community, and I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little word of advice and some caution, to really think about that. So that's basically it for now. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. God bless.